Whether you're an employee, an entrepreneur, or someone somewhere in between living the racket life, we have all been affected financially by this pandemic. You know, this last April, the Philippines hit an all-time unemployment high of 17.7%. And the tough part is we're expecting those numbers to climb even higher. Now, some Filipinos were able to protect themselves. They had savings, they had emergency funds, but many, many more were left with nothing. And so our big question for these uncertain times is, where do we go from here? Well, today's roundtable discussion is all about that. We're going to be talking about solutions for the financial challenges that the coronavirus has brought to young professionals today. I'm Siege Tantenko, and I'm very excited to be hosting for you as your moderator for this discussion. You'll be meeting our guests in just a bit, but to give you an idea of what we'll be talking about, we'll share tips to recover and continue to pursue your financial goals. We'll answer common questions such as, is it even smart to work on a long-term goal right now? Or should I only be focusing on short-term goals? And then we'll share tools and services that young professionals can use to future-proof your finances. And for those of you who perhaps are already interested in finance or have a knack for it, maybe let's talk about maybe financial planning is a career move for you. So let's get to know our guests. First up, we have actor and business owner of Peri Peri Chicken, Enchong D. Hi, Enchong.
Hi CJ, hi everyone, hi sa lahat ng nanonood.
Awesome, we're glad to have you here with us today. Up next, we've got Sun Life Financial Advisor Arlene Tan. Hi, Ms. Arlene.
Hi, Siege. Hi, everyone. And I'm so happy to have this kind of discussion with all of you.
Yes, we're very excited to hear your insights. This is very relevant for all of us today. And finally, we have Senior Business Analyst Carl Solis. Hi, Carl.
Hi, Siege, and hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here with Rappler, Sun Life, and Mr. Enchong D.
Awesome. Well, let's get started. Before we get to specifics, I just want to ask each of you, what's a financial challenge that you've either personally experienced yourself or you've heard or helped someone get through in these past few months? Let's start with Enchong.
For me, Sige, I guess it's really the uncertainty. When 2020 started, you have these plans, you have these goals on how much you want to earn by the end of the year. But of course, you have to adjust it now with all the things that are happening. And of course, I would consider myself now as unemployed. There are so many things to consider, but I guess I'm just happy that I'm surrounded by a lot of people that can give me advices, can support me also. And I'm glad that we were able to invest prior to the pandemic, which none of us expected.
Right. Nobody saw this coming, and this uncertainty is happening everywhere, not just in the
That's
Philippines.
so true.
All around the world. What about you, Miss Arlene? You're probably giving advice to a lot of people. What stories have you heard?
Okay, I'm wearing two hats, no, as a financial advisor and as an entrepreneur. So as a financial advisor, ever since that we had the lockdown, there were a lot of people asking where the market will go, how are their protection plans are, if hospitalization is included, just in case they, unfortunately, they would experience any confinement. So those were the types of conversation. So that time, we know that the risk profile of people suddenly changed. No, when we say risk profile, before, the doctors, the healthcare workers are not classified as risky profession when it comes to applying for risk products. But right now, medyo nag-shift konti. So there are discussions on paano na kami ang exposed sa mga pasyente, sa mga may sakit. In terms of being an entrepreneur naman, because my husband and I run a tech firm, no? So somehow, apektado rin kasi we had projects na they said, o sige, go na kasi magiging digital na ang mga processes sa kumpanya. There are some naman companies who need to cut on their capex, on their capital expenditure. So they say, o stop muna tayo. So our primary concern was then our employees, no, to make sure that they will still receive the same amount of compensation. So those were the kinds of conversations that I had in the past.
Right. Well, we're excited to hear about more about the solutions that
Yes.
you can recommend later. Let's go to Carl. What stories have you heard or experienced in the lockdown?
Yeah, this lockdown has actually brought a lot of uncertainty, as what Enchong said. And there are a lot of people that I know, some of my friends, relatives, who were actually got laid off. And fortunately, on my end, I still have a job, but for them, parang I feel I empathize them because right now all of us are actually struggling to just survive and to get by this pandemic. So some of the people who got laid off that I know actually do not have emergency funds. That's actually making it worse because right now, if you don't have anything to live by, it it's like a struggle. It's like a survival crisis at this point in time since we have to get by. Some people I know are actually getting by immersing themselves on like a small business, um, selling the things that they don't actually need anymore, or exploring some skills that are actually quite valuable that they can profit from. So yeah, right now a lot of people are just trying to live by to get by this pandemic.
Mm-mm. I hear you. Alam mo, dyan talaga magaling ang mga Pinoy in terms of
Mhm.
survival
Yeah.
skills, pivoting. When the challenge comes at us, magaling tayo maghanap ng paraan
Mhm.
to get through it. But it's another matter when it comes to preparing. So the skills in preparing. So according to a survey conducted by the World Bank Group in 2017, only 22.6% of Filipinos are using a formal financial product. Now, this is already an improvement from 2015, but it's a zero point 0.6 improvement lang. So to those who don't use financial products, something that keeps coming up is, parang hindi ko naman kailangan. Where do you think this notion comes from, Miss Arlene?
Okay. When we talk about financial products, you mentioned about formal financial products. These are the credit products and the insurance products, particularly because these two types of products, no, people have biases and they have perceptions, no. What do I mean by this? If we compare, I'll give an example to illustrate the point. Um, in Japan, we can see that culturally they are very risk averse. So they believe in insurance because of the earthquakes, the very frequent earthquakes that they have. So it's like 98% of their people have insurance. It started with property, then life insurance. So culturally, I feel that the Philippines may not have imbibed yet that kind of awareness that with insurance, you can easily adapt after a challenge. Example, in Japan, after an earthquake, you can see that hindi sila masyadong hirap bumangon. Agad-agad, back to normal sila in terms of survival. But here in the Philippines, and not only Philippines, when I talk to my counterpart na financial advisors abroad, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China, there is also a challenge in spreading word that insurance is an important factor or part of a portfolio. So for millennials abroad, uh, talagang kahit hindi nila naiintindihan kung ano ang insurance, naka-embed na yon sa contract na sinasign nila as part of their benefit. So I think those types of being immersed, no, culturally, economically, na naka-embed na sa system ng government, is one thing that can drive awareness. Now, in terms of perception, before the pandemic, we would hear young people would say na malayo pa ang retirement. Or kapag gagawa sila ng negosyo, family and friends na lang muna sila kukuha ng puhunan. But credit is uh, it's a very important factor also to expand and to make sure the controls are there. In terms of business naman yon. So I think people don't have that level of knowledge, maybe because uh, you know, there's
Hindi
a lot more things to be done by our BSP, our regulators. But I think many institutions right now, banks, insurance companies, cooperatives, they are really engaging millennials and business owners to know these kinds of products.
and you see the change. Do you see more Filipinos realizing it?
Yes, yes. I think this pandemic has really changed how people behave and think right now. It's because the unexpected. Uh, Before, no, the health crisis, when a family encounters health crisis, it's more of because genetically, may cancer yung parent ko, kaya may cancer rin akong risk. But right now, with this pandemic, even how healthy you are, every you are at risk. So the concept of risk right now is more evident. Ramdam na ramdam mo, no? And so I hope that it's not only the health risk that we focus on, because kahit walang pandemic, we have the risk of dying young, aging, dying too old, 'di ba? If we die too old naman, merong ring risk 'yon. Maybe our retirement money hindi na enough, diyan na lumalabas yung mga sakit, 'yon. So, the risk awareness is not only health. Meron pang risk na possible ang dami mo pera pero hindi mo alam saan mo ilalagay, 'di ba? Marami rin na nandiyan lang pala yung emergency fund, maraming sources, but hindi nila ina-access. So, emergency fund can be availed from the insurance policies, from the cooperatives, or from the banks. They offer these kinds of support right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about how many institutions are running awareness programs in the hopes of changing the culture that we have in our perception, our biases. So I want to throw it now to Carl and to Enchong. Are you noticing also from a client's perspective, nababalitaan niyo ba yung financial literacy programs ito? And did the sudden increase of these initiatives make you feel the responsibility that, okay, I need to take this on so I can manage my finances? What do you think, Carl?
Yeah. In on my end, I think Miss Arlene struck a point a while ago that a lot of people are actually illiterate of like the different financial products that we have, and that's why some people are actually considering it to postponing getting like an insurance or getting like a different financial product that they might need in the future. And I myself am actually quite hesitant before to like get an insurance because like I'm still young. Like what do I need an insurance for? Is it actually useful for me in the future or something like that? As much as I wanted to like enjoy what I have right now, like I'm usually a person kasi who loves to travel and just get by. So given what Miss Arlene said, I think a lot of people are still kind of illiterate with the different financial products that we have that I think it would be useful for, especially for us millennials who are actually just like to spend it on everything that we can actually spend on right now, like traveling or shopping, everything like that. So I think there's really like a good potential or a great potential to actually inform a lot of people, especially young people like us.
Yeah, mga nabubudol ng online shopping habang
Mm-hmm.
tayong lahat. what financial literacy programs have you attended, or what kind of financial plan are you currently on?
Like what I said a while ago, I spend a lot into traveling, and right now since we can't travel, like where do I spend my money on? So I actually pivoted on like building up my emergency funds as much as I'm actually still employed right now, because we never know, perhaps tomorrow or the next month or the next 3 months I wouldn't actually have a job anymore. So I actually um ensured that I have like enough, but enough emergency fund. And aside from that, I actually also invested in different investments, such as the stock market, and I'm also actually into mutual funds. So investments like that actually help me also to ensure that um, I mean, I can't spend it on traveling, so might as well spend it on something that would actually be useful in the next years.
Right. Well, I'm glad to hear that you were able to pivot and make these smart decisions during these difficult times. Eh, ikaw naman, Enchong, have you felt this sense of responsibility na, I mean, the stereotype, di ba, sa celebrities is that it's this lifestyle, it's this, live life to the fullest, Instagram, was there any pressure for you to actually be financially educated and have a financial plan?
Can I just second the motion dun kay Carl kanina? Natutuwa ako kasi he mentioned na meron siyang pang-build ng emergency fund na ngayon, which is really, really cool. Because I really believe that we should have something like this in our basic education as early as high school. Because this is something that is very important. Like the moment you graduate and then you started living independently, necessity siya to have that financial literacy. And how come we don't have that in high school? Parang mas sabi ko nga I'm not good in math, but the moment you put a peso sign in it, I'm such an expert. So I think we should reevaluate that kind of curriculum, because this will help a lot of people. And with your question naman a while ago, I think it's still very hard to, that's why kanina with the statistics that we improved like 0.6%. I know it's small, but it's moving forward. But at the same time, it's embedded in the Filipino culture to, if I earn 100 pesos, I will spend that 100 pesos. I'm gonna give gifts to my parents. I'm gonna treat my friends. It's such a Filipino culture. But at the same time, we should we should prepare. Hindi naman siya pagiging kuripot or hindi naman siya pagiging madamot, but sino mag-aakala na nangyari to sa atin ngayon, 'di ba? And those people who had the vision or were prepared, parang mas magaan yung pagsubok na pinagdadaanan nila ngayon. And it's sad because the people that are going through tough times, the people that are going through tougher times right now, are the people who are still the marginalized, 'di ba? Because wala yung education, they lack empowerment. And because, like for example, I would receive emails from Sun Life that we have a webinar about financial proofing your savings, like all this kind of stuff. Hindi naman siya nagkukulang eh. Even our government would have programs to help citizens, pero kasi tayo mismo, would we say yes to that program? Would we listen to the webinar? I did. I attended one just to study the stock market and the starting your own stock account, because I want to learn. But then again, ilang Pilipino yung magsisay yes to that kind of program, to listen and understand and apply it to their lives.
Tama. But I actually feel hopeful that you said, no, sabi mo kanina hindi ka magaling mag-math, pero lagyan mo ng peso sign kasi hindi na magaling mag-math. Pero, pag yun nga, pinag-uusapan na natin yung future natin, yung kapakanan din ng pamilya natin. Like you said, it's not being madamot, it's not withholding from them, because actually, from by being smart about your finances now, you're actually putting yourself in a better position to help them also in the long term. So, Anton, you're also a businessman. You own several branches of Peri Peri Charcoal Chicken. Um, what sort of planning or financial education did you have to take so that you would enter into a business as prepared as you could be?
When I started show business, it was clear to me that this is something that I will like as a certain in a certain period of time I will take a break and then go back and then take a break and then go back. So sabi ko, for me to have that freedom, for me to have that liberty to choose whether to say yes and no to projects, I have to be prepared as early as now. That's why like it's so weird because I'm proud to say that I only have one car. I'm proud to say that I'm still living with my parents because I prioritized business first. I prioritized some institution that would give me passive income, which is helping me now. And ngayon parang with all the things that are happening to, for example, ABS-CBN and with this pandemic, kahit papano magaan sa pakiramdam na I know that I can support my family because I invested my money properly.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
And
it's
at the same time, I can also apply that to the people that works for me, my employees, my partners, because I told them, you know what, I don't mind not earning for 2 straight years as long as I can keep the jobs of my employees, as long as I can keep the restaurants open. I guess andun ako sa plano na yun ngayon.
yeah, because you're responsible not just for yourself, but for other people as well. And that's something that many Filipinos are facing. We're responsible not just for our employees, but for our families, for children in some cases, diba? So let's talk about the financial impact of the coronavirus to Filipinos, because it is said that the coronavirus has snapped what was a 21-year growth streak for the Philippines. We've fallen into our first contraction since the fourth quarter of 1998, which came a year after the Asian financial crisis and during an El Nino drought. So, para ang grabe. It took a pandemic for us to just bumalik tayo doon. Did it reflect on the number of Filipinos looking for financial services? What do you think, Miss Arlene?
Okay. In any crisis kasi, we are looking at the impact, no? The impact of that crisis on, let's say, financial health of one person, one family, one country, no? So, because of this crisis, people realize that health crisis can be a money crisis. Um, I'm already close to being 50, no? But never in that past years that I experienced any health crisis this kind. I also experienced already the 2008 crisis, wherein banks in the US, the financial system of US was at risk, but people and countries came together to save it. And the duration was not that long. It's only 1 year. But this kind of crisis, we are projecting it from 1 to 3 years, no, before a good vaccine comes out. So, in terms of people looking for financial advice and services, I could see that it is 100%. Why? Because those people who lost job, those who had to contract their businesses, lahat ng mga OFWs na at risk na pauwiin, mawalan ng income. Not only that, even those who have income, like tulad nga ng shinare ni Carl, na maski siya, he has work na, but there is still that feeling of uncertainty. And we also heard that Enchong mentioned about businesses not he's a very responsible businessman, no? Kasi kahit 2 years, basta as long as you keep your business, employees happy and they are okay, so that is very good. So we can see that from the personal level, somebody, he already needs a financial advice as to how to build an emergency fund. Second is how to protect himself and the family, because any type of illness or any type of crisis again in the family can cost them. So mababawasan na naman yung pera nila. Third, it's the cash flow eh. When we say cash flow, it's how much income that is coming in, no? The flow of money. Carl pointed out a while ago that he has friends who are doing businesses or studying again to, to be moving to another kind of career. So in doing so, they are already analyzing ano ba yung cash flow na papasok because of this endeavor. On a business level, the financial advice that they are looking at would be the restructuring of loans. Marami sa mga negosyo natin na nakasalalay sa loan. May part ng operations nila na loan ang nagpapatakbo. So they need to lower that interest rate from, let's say, 8% to 4%, restructure it. Many small businesses, sila yung malaking natatama because their access to loans is not that high compared to the medium-sized businesses. So, maganda yung pinoint out ni Enchong na he had been investing in, let's say, activities or companies that could give passive income. Kasi that way, may backup plan. And Enchong is a very good example of a person who diversified. So he has a business, he has a career, he has investments in the capital markets or the stock market. So, di ba, hindi natin alam kailan dyan ang high and low ng isang endeavor. But he exemplifies yung diversification in terms of cash flow, in terms of risk. So, people right now, in terms of, let's say, yung kanilang advice na nakukuha dapat sa financial advisor is not only risk. It's right now na may pandemic, it's not all bad news. Dapat nabibigyan rin ng advice on the opportunities. No? There are opportunities during pandemic. So, I hope that one ma-realize natin na although we are not in a good position, no? But there are lots of opportunities in investing. Let's say like if the friends of Carl would go on digital work or online e-commerce, no? We see that by 2025, the transactions are mostly digital na ang gusto ng BSP. Okay? And then second, the prices right now of the companies are very low. So if you invest, most likely 5 years or more, you can get a good return. Yeah. So
Right.
those are the kinds of the financial advice that people seek right now.
Tama. We need to be asking also, ano yung opportunities? And for our generation, mga millennials, this is actually the second time that we've gone through difficult financial times. Kasi around the time that our generation graduated or got out of college, we had the 2008 financial crisis, and a lot of us were affected by that. Sabi nga, because of that crisis, our entry-level salaries were lower than what it used to be. And when you start lower, your ladder is also lower. Look at that until now.
Kawawa tayong millennials, no?
Meron na naman. Well, di ba? When you talk with your friends who are going through this, di ba? Ano yung mga concerns mo din na you would want to ask from a financial advisor?
Yeah. right now, yeah, as you mentioned, there are actually a lot of friends of mine who just recently graduated in college and actually quite facing a challenge right now since walang work ganyan. So like right now, given for me as a person who still has work and who still who still earns, what what's a good like opportunity I can explore in, given there we have like a pandemic right now, um and yun nga, I don't, there's still uncertainty in the next months if I will still be employed. And um yun nga, I have friends who are actually still looking for jobs. So given all this situation, what's something that I can explore into na opportunity that would actually give me more security in a way?
Tama. Sige, hold on to that thought. Ikaw naman, Enchong, ano yung iniisip mo? Ano pa yung gusto mo pang palawakin ang kaalaman mo about that? And then after this, let's ask Miss Arlene. What's on your mind?
Sagutin ko lang si Carl. Carl, you can start acting. Baka you wanna start. you can do that.
Sige, I'll consider that.
Well, for my personal question, siguro, what are the industries? Because I know, for example, tech industries are pandemic proof. That's the reason why China and US are surviving well, even during a pandemic. But here in the Philippines, since our industries are very traditional, what do you think are the businesses that or industries that we could invest on as early as now?
Right, okay. So, now that we know that, saan tayo mag-invest and also what can millennials do? Let's hop over to Miss Arlene. And given these challenges, what can people do to intensify their protection during these difficult times? And for those also who haven't started yet, I'm sure someone watching this right now, you're watching this because you do want to start, and it's never too late for you to start. So, what can people do, Miss Arlene, in a concrete way?
Okay. After hearing the questions ni Enchong at ni Carl, I could imagine my daughter asking me kasi 20 years old siya and she is to graduate like 2 years from now. Sabi niya, Mami, ano nang gagawin ko, no? Walang internship, ganon. So, she was asking anong opportunity. So, okay. Opportunities depends on how you perceive your strength as a person, no? What do I mean by this? May mga tao kasing very entrepreneurial. Okay? They are more on the marketing makeup, no? Parang si Siege, if she becomes a marketing and salesperson, very ano yan. Parang you don't need to invest a lot because yan na yung makeup ng tao. So, for the opportunities, like Carl mentioned, he wants to know opportunities. I would check on his profile. So he is from the tech industry. So if we want to go into, let's say, building, let's say, an enterprise, no, that would help him enhance pa his skills, or he has skills na, then he could just monetize it. That's one. The other one naman, like si Carl kasi is into tech, I'm sure very organized, lahat mga numbers niyan, hindi man may peso sign, magiging magkakaroon ng peso sign, di ba?
Yeah.
So, pwede rin niyang pasukan yung services, which is the financial advisory services. Because that one, that kind of practice is you can start young and then there's no retirement. My counterparts in the US and in Japan, they are already 80 years old, and when we meet together in conventions, nandyan sila. And they use that kind of conversations or learnings from the companies as conversations na parang kinakausap lang nila yung kaibigan nila. So, nakaka-socialize na sila, nakakatulong na sila, and then they could earn from it pa. So, that's how you see opportunities, no, based on your strength, profile, ganyan. Um, in entrepreneurship naman, they say that when you want to expand, no, your business, it's either you go to related industries. So let's say parang si Enchong food, no? So he can do deliveries, or maybe let's say like set up a kitchen na parang virtual kitchen. Puros ordering na lang, then send out. Those that is like related. An entrepreneur who goes out, no, from another, or goes to another kind of industry, yon talagang mas malaking risk ang kailangan doon, and you need to understand anything that is rewarding in nature, you need to face some risks. Okay, so that's one. So if let's say, tulad ng sabi ni Carl, he wants something na medyo secured, medyo that would not really, nasa comfort zone niya. So you want to use talaga the ones that is near your, kumbaga malapit sa industry where you are working in. Si Enchong naman, his question was, anong mga industries ang pwedeng pasukan ba yon, or more on i-invest? Okay. Okay. So I'll go local muna, then we go global. So locally, since we don't have much digitalization yet across industries, no, this is one thing that there is a gap. Anything where there is pain, you could provide solution that is super profitable. That's how entrepreneurs work. They search and search the pain point. When digitalization, it's not only tech, it is combined with logistics. So eto na yung mga marami kang makikitang competitors na Move, Happy Move, yung mga ganon. So you have those kinds. In the Philippines, we see that tourism went down. Sobrang down talaga siya. So this one might be hard to, parang mas mahirap mag-invest dito. But you'll be surprised. There are people who are looking properties in Baguio because they want to set up a bed and breakfast place already at this time. So may mga ganon, no? In terms of healthcare naman, this is abroad. So if let's say you want to invest in healthcare, wherein that company is working on vaccine, on equipments, on medicine, these are it's promising, very profitable yan. So you could see those funds growing talaga. So where are they located? They are not exclusively in the US. We have companies in China who does this. So when you invest now, you might want to consider investing in a global fund that has this kinds of companies in that kind of fund. We have a number here in the Philippines. Sun Life has it, the banks has it. So accessible naman yan.
Okay, well, Miss Arlene, I have a question, and consider this my personal concern, because prior to the pandemic really hitting, I had saved up for years and years. Kasi sabi ko, I want to have passive income. I want to own property, and I want to be a landlady. So, tagal kong nag-ipon, and late last year, sabi ko, I'm gonna do it. I finally did it. And then nag-pandemic. And now, I work in sports. There's no sports right now. I was doing TV stuff. There's no more network right now. And I'm saddled, with this responsibility that I still have to take care of. And for me, there are some days where I feel so much worry now. Okay, why did I make a long-term decision? But at the same time, there's also some days where I think na, maybe doing something long term will actually be good for me. I just need to hang on for now, and then it's going to pay off in the future. But that's part of the uncertainty, not really knowing and being forced to hustle even harder so that you can continue to
Mm-mm.
take care of those responsibilities that you signed up for. So my question, Ms. Arlene, is smart pa po ba to work on a long-term financial goal right now? Or should we just be focusing on short-term goals given the crisis situation today?
Okay. Um, when we are setting financial goals, no, or any personal goals, no, we need to incorporate there the expected and unexpected milestones. So, example, if you are working on a goal na short term, uh, to meet the unexpected, you want to have emergency fund. You want to have insurance. Kasi yan yung mga hindi mo alam kailan siya darating. Kasi unexpected na siya. Example, na sakit, na fracture, na tapilok, yung mga ganyan. And then suddenly, meron kang appendicitis, yung mga ganon na out of the world na you're so healthy, tapos biglang nagkaroon ng ganong problema. What are the expected naman circumstances short term? Di ba? You know, you can calculate your expenses, di ba? You can calculate the monthly expense that you have. So your question now is, how can I bring in that amount of cash to meet my monthly operational cost? Sa business, they call it monthly OPEX, di ba? So tayo personally, it's like, in your case, you mentioned that you need to pay maybe mortgage or the real estate money. So that is one of your OPEX for the short term. Now, your consideration right now in planning for your short-term goals would be, how can I replace my source of income right now based on the talents and resources that you have? Because your situation is not, parang it's not you eh. It's the pandemic eh. 'Di ba? It's everybody globally. People are pivoting. People are doing things that they are not really, parang they didn't study this course, pero mapapansin mo nandoon na sila sa field na yon. So those, your immediate concern is how do you address the short-term requirements. Now, of course, pag puro short-term naman ang plinano mo, what would happen now? Your future milestones. I'm sure you have dreams, di ba? You said you wanted to have to become a landlady because you want, I'm sure, the passive income, di ba? You want that. And I'm sure you also have goals na later on, um, you want to help people also. You want to be more significant. You want to have your own enterprise, something like that. So that one requires planning, regardless of the situation. For parents like me, kahit mag-pandemic o hindi mag-pandemic, kailangan mag-aral yung mga anak ko. So, I need to plan long-term for that. And as individuals, lahat tayo, I mentioned about the risk of growing old. All of us will grow old. So we need to have our retirement funds ready. Because if we don't maximize the time that we have right now, by the time we are 60, then that's the time you will save. You will need double time to save money for your lifestyle from 61 to, let's say, 80 years old. I'm sure very fit kayo, mga millennials, di ba? Kayo na yung generation na talagang nag-exercise, health juice nandyan, mental wellness, di ba? You really focus on that. So, yung lifestyle na ganyan, kailangan masustain from 61 until you are alive. So, you need to plan for those kinds of events in your life. Kaya importante pa rin ang long-term goal.
Okay. And question answered. Thank you very much, Ms. Arlene. Now, you mentioned earlier pivoting or making use of whatever talents or skills that you have in your arsenal. And let's talk about what you said earlier, na people can get into the financial planning industry. May kasabihan ngayon na if you're a millennial, you probably know at least one or two friends who are also financial advisors. Carl, is this true in your circle? And would you yourself consider having a career as a financial advisor given these times?
Yeah, actually, in my circle of friends, I think I know about 5 people already who are into financial who are actually financial advisors. So yeah, given my circle of friends is still quite small, that's already a big number. And yeah, I myself, I think, am also interested on giving like financial advice to people like me who are still young and still are millennials. So yeah, I'm a numbers person, guys. So I like working with numbers, not just with the peso sign. So everything related with numbers, I'm interested on that. And given that the financial industry is actually a lot involves a lot of numbers, I would consider working or doing so because I just like working with numbers and I like to impart new knowledge to people like me who are young and are actually um, not very much informed in the world of financial literacy.
Yeah, you could be part of that culture change na
Mhm.
sinasabi ni Miss Arlene kanina. Miss Arlene, unemployment right now here in the Philippines is at an all-time high. We have over 7 million people jobless here in the Philippines. So I'm sure people are considering, okay, what if I get into financial planning, not just for myself, but for the people around me, helping
Yeah.
the people in my community. If I was interested, Carl is interested, what are the things that people should know about being a financial advisor?
The financial advisory landscape in the Philippines significantly changed, no, significantly changed this past, let's say, 5 years. Uh, During this past 5 years, we can see millennials coming into the sales force. Okay, uh, when I started in 2005, uh, I was then 30 years old, and I was the youngest na during that time. So right now, um, to become a financial advisor at a very young age is a plus. So age pa lang, panalo ka na, Carl. Okay. Um, so second is this time people who are into who's familiar with digital landscape, no, they know how to communicate digitally, emails, no, um, platforms, apps, uh, the payment uh, fintech way of fintech produce gateways, no. So these are the changes that's happening in the financial system. So those people who would be coming into this field, they need to have that kind of skill already, no. So in your case, plus point na yan. In terms of um, love for learning, this would spell the difference. Kasi there is no course naman in college, eh, 'di ba? Na parang BS Financial Planning. Most of the financial advisors locally and globally just kept on studying to become better. So to gain entry point, what people or managers are looking for is the drive of the person to learn. When we say learn, they need to learn about the product, the service, the sales process. You will not be here like salesperson, but think of it like you are selling an idea that is abstract and that is new for many people. It's like spreading the good news. Para kang priest, no? That spreading the good news that there is this kind of product that would protect you from this much. There is this kind of product that would make you stable and um, live comfortably when you retire. There is this kind of service that when you have it, you have outsourced now the risk and you have a partner in growing your money. So these are the types of learnings that you will get when you become a financial advisor. If you love it, if you love learning these kinds of stuff, then you will have easy time in immersing yourself in the financial advisory services. So being a Sun Life financial advisor, no, for close to 17 years now, I could say that Sun Life had a very good training, no. It puts premium on developing the knowledge and skills of the people. And another factor that helped me grow grow and stay in this industry, even if I have lots of extracurricular activities, it's because of the global support from what we call the organization $1 Million Roundtable. I have mentors from abroad. They are more experienced. They are, the way they practice financial advisory, it's way advanced than what we have here. So I could see the opportunity of bringing those practices here. No, so that could only happen if, let's say, I share it to people who are interested in becoming financial advisors. I share it to the advisors already in the field. So uh, to recap, no, how can you become a financial advisor? So first is you need to have that passion of learning. Uh, as you know, when you are sharing a concept that is new to a person, you will not get an immediate yes, right? But once they say yes, you become so happy because you have not secured one person, but you have secured the whole family. The second is the discipline. In any endeavor, sports or academics or business, it's more of the grit. It's more of the, yung persistency na gigil ka, not for the money, but to help that person. So that kind of passion and drive to help people should be there. And number three, you need to be a team player. Right now, learning financial advisory services is all about collaboration. I could see myself very good in one aspect, but the whole process, no, there is a whole process that one person, one advisor should do to engage the client. So you can work with somebody to complete that process, to make sure that you immerse easier in that work. So being a team player, love for learning, and discipline. I think those are the three. Plus, you need to have a mentor that who could understand your desires, your strengths, your weaknesses, and your dreams. So, yun lang naman. So, Carl, join ka na.
Yeah, I think given naman yung mga sinabi mo, Miss Arlene, I think everything is there except for the mentor na lang, I guess, because
Oo.
I really like to learn as well. So the passion is there, I think.
Oo. Tapos diversify ka rin
Mm.
pag-aartista, sabi ni Enchong.
Sige, I'll take note of that.
Let's go naman to the side of prospective client or someone who avails of these services. For you, Enchong and Carl, what do you look for in a financial advisor? Enchong.
Well, number one, siguro three things lang. Number one, an advisor that can communicate to the level of my understanding. Because usually, they would use mga terms na, syempre, like for example, kung baguhan ka na magkakaroon ng policy, parang hindi mo siya may intindihan if they will use like heavy terms. But for someone who has experience naman, let's be honest, may mga naiinis kapag feeling nila 101, stock 101 yung tinuturo sa kanila para kahit may background sila. So parang the communication with leveling of communication is very important. Number two, someone who can listen. Someone who can listen and then listen and understand, because iba yung pangangailangan ko sa pangangailangan ni Juan de la Cruz and then the other person also. So I have to be able to communicate to you my needs and make that policy specific for me. And number three, someone who can empathize, because again, what I'm going through can be different from someone who is greatly affected by this pandemic, or what I'm going through can be just a little bit of effect to another person. So kailangan na they can put their shoe on other people's situation.
Tama. What about you, Carl? Ano yung hinahanap mo sa isang financial advisor?
Yeah, for me, actually, two things lang. The first one is somehow related to what Enchong said na someone who can empathize with me or someone who understands where I'm coming from. So important kasi na on my end makita ko na useful siya for me in the future. It's something that I actually need right now. Not actually change what my perception is. So yun, it should be something. It should someone should be able to understand what my needs are and what I'm going through right now. Then second is someone who will actually convince me because change is actually hard to do, especially if you're not used to it. So yun, if that person would be able to actually change my mindset, give me something that would actually show me that this is beneficial for me in the long run, and it's not just for me, it's also for my family or also for the people around me. So if someone will be able to convince me to make that change or to shift to that direction, that should be a good financial advisor for me.
Well, we're almost at the end of our discussion. But before that, the people watching today, young professionals, people who are hopeful, hopeful, facing challenges, need a bit of motivation. So to just close us all off, I want each of us to share, I guess, a motivational message, your message to young professionals watching this right now, maybe get them inspired to take on these challenges. Let's start with Enchong.
To all the people listening, I know that you went here and you listened and you are watching because you are very interested with all these smart people that I'm talking to. But at the same time, I know that this is such a tough time. Never lose hope because whatever we're going through, it's not just us. Everyone in the world is going through this at the same time. So let's just hope that after this we will come out of this pandemic better, stronger, and wiser. Let's use this time to educate ourselves. Let's use this time to be more mentally healthy and physically healthy. You know, so that once this is over and once companies started hiring again, you have all this knowledge inside of you that you can just turn on anytime that this company need na to hire. So, yun lang. Let's use this time to be better versions of ourselves.
Wonderful. I love it. Miss Arlene, what's your message to millennials, young professionals watching this?
I understand that many of you would want to have this kind of secured mentality emotionally, and make sure everything is okay. No, uh, what we could do right now, just like what Enchong said, is really develop the best version of ourselves, because moving forward, we don't have choice but to bounce forward. No, we will not be going back to the old. No, they say bounce back. No, but I always say we need to bounce forward. So with this, have hope, optimism, and make sure take care of yourself right now, because by taking care of yourself, you can take care more of people. And I know that each of us has his own unique potential that could make this place a better place.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Miss Arlene. And Carl, message for mga henerasyon mo, mga young
Mhm.
professionals. What do you want to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, right now times are tough, not just for me but for everyone. And let's not lose hope, just like what Enchong said, and let's not make this let's not have this put us down, as in we should we should bring ourselves up. For those lucky people who still have work, you can help others by actually um, perhaps building up a small business or investing on something that would help you in the long run. But in a way, if you're already have this business, you can employ other people as well. And for those people who are actually who don't have jobs right now, who got laid off, what you can do is pivot from this. Perhaps try to learn a new skill, build that arsenal, build that knowledge, so that when things get better, you have something to lean on. Might as well just stay safe and stay sane.
Stay safe.
Agree, agree.
Lang yan. So, we've talked so much about the uncertainty today. Paulit-ulit na binabanggit natin yan. And part of the uncertainty is uncertainty itself, meaning we don't know how long this will exactly last. But what we do know is that we are all motivated to have a better future for when we get out of this. Like Miss Arlene said, it's not you, it's the pandemic. And tama, yung sinabi din ni Carl na we should not let this get us down. So we should be preparing, whether it's by getting into financial services for ourselves and our loved ones, learning a new skill, or even just committing to lifestyle changes that will allow us to build up our emergency funds for the future and future-proof our personal finances. Ika nga ni Enchong, hindi lahat magaling mag-math, pero lahat tayo pwedeng matuto magplano for ourselves, our loved ones, and our future. So thank you very much, Enchong, Miss Arlene, and Carl for joining us, and to you watching for staying with us and learning with us. Let's future-proof our finances together. So for more information on Sun Life's products and services, you can visit their website. That's sunlife.com.ph and follow them on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram with the handle at sunlifeph. So they're sharing advice, there's tips, information on their services. It's all there. I'm Siege Tantenko. Let's build a better future.